Hi, everybody. I need to talk about this. This has been going to me, and I've tried talking to a mentor of mine about it, and I'm still having a really hard time with it. So I'd like to know what you think. Okay. A couple weeks ago, we had an accessibility advisory committee meeting, and it was a very, very full agenda. 120 odd pages worth of agenda. Now, I am not a member of that committee. I watch and I listen and I go on. I have not been able to attend the meetings for quite a while, and that is for personal reasons. So, when I read the agenda and all of the things that were happening there, this is the first meeting back after the summer break, I was like, well, holy moly. And if you believe that the AAC is as a disabled person, your representative in the politics, okay, then you would support what they're trying to do. You can have differing opinions, but your support for their work, you're getting behind their work, you're being involved in their work, is something that you would want to do. Okay. So when I'm doing stuff for here, I post on Facebook because there's a group there that handles it, and so I made a posting about the agenda, and I said, this is a very full agenda, and the reports make for some interesting reading, and they did. The AAC represents us, the disabled community, and we should make ourselves aware of the issues they are tackling so that we can support their efforts and offer our input as well. And then somebody posted about something that they would like to see. And it said, could we please just start to address issues by bringing question period back at council meetings? It would save us from the need to use Facebook. Thank you. From the minutes of the January 9th, 2023, Resolution 1123 moved by Norman Mann, seconded by Mr. Seidel, that council strike an ad hoc procedural bylaw review committee consisting of all members of council. See, so that was what that was about, but they want to bring back just being able to ask questions, which we don't have here. And I responded to that, said, that would be fantastic if a few things were to happen first. Have public transit, including the handy lift, available for council and other committee meetings so that everybody is able to participate. Up for discussion by the AAC, and that was up for discussion at this AAC meeting. And allow for participation via Zoom for those unable to attend in person, which was also up for discussion at this AAC meeting. Social media as an option for the disabled and senior community to discuss issues that affect them directly is a valuable option to have when our choices have been limited. That too is true. If you don't have the other options, then social media works for you to be able to have a discussion with other people. And you don't actually have to be able to be in the same room with them. Those comments were about what was going to go on at that particular committee meeting, right? Because everything that they were going to be discussing was reflected in what I was talking about. I've never had what happened to me next happen before. I got what I considered to be attacked by this one person who started talking about, did I not use the handy lift? Did I not know what I was talking about? That I didn't know what I was talking about? That I was spreading misinformation about the handy lift and it being in operation, and I should really phone and talk to the person who operates the handy lift bus and get my facts straight before I start talking about that. There were also remarks about the fact that I don't live in reality, and that I'm doing a very poor job of what I purport to be about because I don't know anything. And this kind of went on and on and on, and I didn't talk about the handy lift. And I did. Do I take the handy lift? I do not. And there are very personal reasons for that. None of which I'm unwilling to discuss, but for the purposes of right now, it would be too long. So I did feel very much under attack, and when the question of reality came up, and my lack of living in it, I did respond to that one comment. I responded to no other. The reality that I live in involves supporting our AAC. The reality that I live in does not have a transit option available for city council meetings or tonight's meeting if it runs past 6:30. In my reality, every resident who wants to participate in municipal government meetings should be able to, either in person or via other methods, including using Zoom or another platform. In my reality, I spend a great deal of time researching the reports and other materials and watching the televised meetings repeatedly and with notes. In my reality, I make contact with other cities' transit companies to ask questions and compare offered services. I also attend seminars through SPARE, Accessibility Ontario, and others to understand transit issues and solutions more thoroughly. My reality involves doing the work to know my topic. Always has, always will. I'm getting worked up just thinking about it. I really am. Because it was an attack of my credibility, of how much I care about this work that I do. And that's not fair. It's not fair at all, because I didn't talk about my own beliefs, like what I do for me. I was talking about supporting a committee that I believe in very strongly and that I believe represents disabled people, and that includes me. And if I want to have that type of participation, if I want to be able to speak through a committee that reports to council after going through public services, then who is anybody to take that and twist it? I got talking to someone who was my friend and had made one of those comments in there. And I was talking about my own personal beliefs and why I don't take the handy lift. It got referred to about the comments that another person had made, and then showing me the form that you need to fill out in order to apply for the handy lift. And I don't deny that you have to fill one out. And I also will not deny that I don't think it's necessary. And this is why. Every municipality has their own or sets their own criteria for who is their target user for the para transit. Okay, handy lift, any one of those names. They decide. It is not something that is like set in stone. This is what you must have. This, blah, blah, blah. Therefore, it's arbitrary. And from that, I look at it and I say, all right, we as disabled people are asked to go and get medical proof, medical evaluation to get our CPPD or our ODSP. We are asked to go and get medical evaluation if we wish to apply for the disability tax credit. We are asked to go and get a medical evaluation for when we are seeking accommodations at our places of employment. There are enough medical evaluations out there, and the government, federally and provincially, coming back and saying, yeah, you're disabled, here you go, that we should not have to go municipally for one service that we still pay for, and we pay the same amount as anybody else riding any other transit. We should not have to go and get a medical evaluation to prove we are disabled enough to take the transit system that they provide. I think proof that we are on a disability pension is enough, because that is very extensive. And I think that the longer that the transit system starts to evolve and goes more and more towards a system where you're going to have an on-demand system employed at some point in time, and several companies already do, where any people can call up and request a ride. And for people who are not disabled, generally speaking, it is from point to point. And for people who are disabled, it would be from wherever they were getting picked up to home. So I think the closer that you get to that, the less you can demand a medical confirmation that someone is qualified or is disabled enough to take a service, because you're not requiring it of anybody else to call and get it. If your only thing is that you're going to take somebody to their door, then knowing that they are disabled with their proof of disabled pension, disability pension, is all that you really need. That's why. And that is for me. That's my personal belief in the thing. And if I'm going to fight it, then I can't turn around and start going, and I'm going to take the bus and I'm going to submit to all of the things at the same time as I'm going to turn around and say we shouldn't have to do all of it. We go through, and I'm talking to this person, and I was asked what I found objectionable about the form, and I mentioned it, and then it started to go again into this realm of, well, how do you propose then that we make sure that the people who need the service get the service, and we need to be able to control the numbers and know what they are. But you do know what they are. And I kept going with all of this, and it's one of those things that if the numbers are what you need, when you do a transit study, you go in, you already know that you have sold 3,500 passes, okay? You never, ever sort of go, 3,500 people are riding this bus. You don't do that, because you have to assign a time and everything else, and then count how many people are actually on the bus at that time. You don't just take that number and go like that. So you do not need to have a number that says, oh, we have 80 people in Elliott Lake who use the handy lift service, because no, you don't. You have 80 people who have bus passes, or you have 80 people who are approved to ride the handy lift with their bus pass. Okay, but you don't have 80 people every single day, all hours of the day, who are riding. You would have to get out there and count them, just like you would for anything else. So that makes no sense. And this was the point that I was trying to get across. And I couldn't. And it was like, well, I didn't understand it. I was turning it into something that it wasn't. And isn't it paternalistic to say that you need to provide us with information so that we know how many of you there are that we have to give this service to? Isn't it a little bit discriminatory against us? Those were all the things that I was thinking of, and I was also thinking, why is it my opinion that bothers you so much? I alone cannot change anything, but it just didn't make any sense to me. Excuse me, I need a sip of coffee here. This is my new coffee cup. 16 ounces of coffee. It's lovely. So, I'll give my opinion on anything anybody asks me about. But when I'm talking about one thing and it's being turned into something else, it's being, the emphasis is being taken away from supporting a group of people who need to have some support because they in turn are supporting all of us, right? The saying of nothing about us without us. They are that for us. And that they are looking at transit issues and walkway issues and whether or not there are railings and what are accessible bathrooms and all of the things that were on this list of things to do. Yet you're damn right. People, the people who live in Elliott Lake should be supporting this left, right, and center and saying, keep up the good work. Yes, we believe in what you're doing. Yes, we want to see this. Yes, there's this place here. Could you maybe do more with that? And talk to them and get them, and like really give them kudos for the things that they have been doing and have had changed for us. I am disabled, and there are many, many, many things that are hard for me to do. And I do support my Accessibility Advisory Committee and the work that they are doing, trying to do. And I do advocate for accessibility and inclusion, and I do have my own opinions